We're about to begin the services for Mr. Arkady Arensky. We want to welcome you here at the chapel as well as the folks that are watching online. Just a gentle reminder for those of you in the chapel, if you have a cell phone with you, please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. The services this afternoon will be conducted by Rabbi Eliezer Demarsky.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא יחסור, בנוסדך ירבצני על מי מנוחוס ינחלני, נפשי שובב ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסר ויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. It's not simple to capture in words the personality and life of Arkady, Vicky's father, a person who went through different periods of history and periods of his life, which starts with the war, and he was displaced many times. He was young, he was traveling, he suffered the fate of many people together with him, and maybe because he experienced so much hardship during the war and witnessed so many losses, maybe because of that, the family always was the most important thing in his life. His own family. And he dedicated himself to his parents, first of all, and later to Lucia, and of course to Vicky and Erica, Jessica, Michael. This was his the closest people in his life, and Gary. His life, like life of many of us, was divided in over there and here. And over there, he built himself. After the war, there was nowhere to live, and slowly, he built his home together with his wife and with the daughter. And then there's another stage, another page in his life is coming here. And every single stage wasn't an easy transition. And coming here was also very, very complicated, even before they came. They were not sure. There was argument, shall we go, shall not go, uncertainty. And Lucia was an accomplished doctor, and she understood that coming here, she was in her 40s already, it probably would be impossible to continue her career. And he convinced her, and he proved that he would do anything to help her to establish herself here as a professional, as a doctor. And he did that. He really dedicated himself to allow her to go to study and become a doctor here. And later he even was working with her in the office, because all his life, he was a very dedicated husband, and he couldn't see himself apart from her. And in the later years, when he stopped working as a professional himself, he joined her. And he was the best, I know, I spoke to Vicky, he was the best father, very soft. If mother was strong, he was soft. We need that in parents, right? One is tough and strong, one is soft. So he was the soft one. He was a soft one, and what's interesting is that it was always interesting to spend time with him. Even though as a career, we were talking yesterday, as a profession, it was like a very routine, a simple profession. I don't know even how to translate it. It's like engineer, right, at the steel factory, let's put it this way. But he had a worldview. He knew a lot about the world, about life. trivia, things about countries, about history, and like sometimes family wonder where did he get it from. He was a very bright person. He was a very bright person, and what's also, he was smart in many ways, but in one way, he understood that you should use life and things that life offers you while you have it. Do not wait until you retire and then you start traveling and you start. They wanted, together with his wife, they understood that tomorrow, nobody knows what brings tomorrow, and they wanted to enjoy and travel and see life and see world while they were able to do it. And that's what they did. That's what they did. They saw a lot, they traveled a lot, and that's why it was very interesting always to spend time. And he was the loss of his wife was very hard on him, and he felt lonely. And that's a time where he got even closer with Vicky, because in the end, as you see, like family is all the only thing we have. And in the end, it proved that really his family was the closest people that he had. And he was very close with Vicky and, of course, with grandchildren. He loved all of us, I know. He loved every one of you. And you were his light, and you were his reason to live. And now, looking back, I think he's like a great example of a person who had so little in the beginning of his life, in many ways, so little materially, physically, and slowly he built himself, and he built a future for all of you. He came here with your grandmother, and together they were very dedicated to see that you will be successful, and I know they were proud of all of you. And may his memory be a blessing, a great man. And I would like to invite Vicky to say a few words.
Can't believe I have to wear glasses now. When the rabbi asked me yesterday if I wanted to say something, I said, sure, there's nobody else. I'm his only child. And I was thinking, what can I say about my dad? He was an amazing person. He was a wonderful son. He was a wonderful husband. He was the best dad, grandfather, friend, and just a human being. He adored his family, and he was always extremely supportive and generous toward everyone. He had a wonderful sense of humor till the last minute, till he closed his eyes. He had a wonderful sense of humor. And he really loved to read. And he told me that he used to cut his classes when he didn't think it was like a fun class, when he was in school. He would just cut classes to run to the library and read. So that's how he probably knew everything. He just read a lot. He also enjoyed solving the crossword puzzles. And when I close my eyes, I see his warm smile. I don't think that anybody has ever been as happy to see me as my dad. I remember when I was in college and I worked part-time in a jewelry store on State and Washington in the city. He would always come by the store during his lunchtime on the days that I worked, and just to wave at me through the window. No matter what was the weather outside, no matter that he knew he's gonna see me at home in a couple hours, he always came by and he waved at me. Sometimes he would stop by to see if there was anything that my mom would like, because my mom was his everything. My mom was his everything. After he stopped driving in 2020, we spent a lot of time together. Every Saturday, we would go grocery shopping together. And at that time, I realized how much he liked to talk. He always talked, and we never knew where the conversation was going to take us. So he could talk about anything and everything. We would solve all the world all the world problems he would solve in my car. And I learned so much history from him. I told him that I didn't really need Google because I had him. He knew everything. So whenever I told him that I wanted to visit some country, he would tell me some interesting fact, some historical fact that I had no idea. And then he would tell me, if you go there, but don't go there because there's nothing to see there. So he just like, he was a MapQuest, he was Google, he was everything. But the best part, of course, was hearing all the stories about the relatives that I knew or I didn't know, stories from his life, how he met my mom, how they, just stories from their life. He would always recite poems, he would always sing songs to me, and I was always amazed how he knew everything, how he remembered everything. And then he was always amazed that I didn't know anything. He was like, how do you not know this poem? Like, didn't you you were supposed to be a straight A student, and I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't stay, But he just remembered everything. So my dad was also, he's very, very extremely neat and organized. And those that know me well know that I'm not. And everything had to be in its place, just perfectly placed. He, if I needed some document from him, he would know exactly where it would be. He would be like, okay, third envelope on your right. And sure enough, whatever I was looking for, it was there. So I remember that, when I would get to his house after a shopping trip, he would take his shoes off, and no matter how much pain he was in, he would always make sure that his shoes are aligned properly by the wall, his slippers, and of course, I would just take my shoes off. And he would just put them, and he would just look at me and smile, and he's like, how are we related? You're complete opposite. And so during our shopping trips, I learned not just the history. I learned that apparently I didn't know how to pick up groceries and produce correctly. So I learned that. And, even after he stopped coming with me to the stores, he would always comment if whatever I brought was up to his standard. So I made sure to share that knowledge and that wisdom with my kids, because I literally didn't know that there's a difference in lemons, but there is. As it turned out, Dad knew best. I'm really going to miss our Saturday afternoons. I would give anything to have them back. And I love you, Dad. I miss you already. And may you rest in peace. Now you're his mom. And may your memory be a blessing. I'm extremely a lucky person to be your daughter. So that's it.
Thank you.
I think Erica wanted.
Ah, okay.
Tough act to follow. So I'm up here representing the grandkids. Growing up, our grandpa was a lot of fun. As kids, we probably only ever noticed the endless toys, the endless movies, the endless books that he brought us. He always hid lollipops and gum in his jacket pocket to give to us after, dinner. And he loved to give. He was our Ded Moroz during New Year's. He always gave us the presents. And he was so incredibly generous. As an adult now, looking back, I now see that his love and generosity went way beyond lollipops and toys. When any of his grandkids would get sick, me, my brother, my sister, he was always on sick kid duty. He was responsible for making sure that we ate our soup, we got our medicine, we got our rest. And, as kids, we hate eating soup and taking medicine and taking naps, so it was always a fight. There was always some kind of arguments, but he kept coming back, of course, and he always came back with his big smile and his infectious laugh. When he wasn't on sick kid duty, he was with my grandma, as Rabbi Demarsky talked about a little bit. I think everybody knows my grandma was a physician. She had her own practice in Chicago. And every day he would go to work with her. And while she was in the exam room with patients all day, my grandpa was responsible for managing the office and the waiting room. All the patients knew him, all the patients loved him. I spent many days there during my summers going to work with them. And by 10 years old, he was always putting me to work, so by 10 years old, I was proficient in medical coding and fulfilling prescriptions in the pharmacy. It's crazy to think, and I can't even imagine why they would put a 10-year-old in the pharmacy counting people's medication, but they did. And that's probably where I got my work ethic, honestly. I'll cherish those memories forever. What I'll never forget, though, is how much the patients loved my grandpa. Of course, they were always there to see my grandma, but my grandpa was the backbone, the heart and soul of that office. People from all walks of life, with all kinds of reasons for coming to see the doctor. They were there typically anxious, waiting to potentially get some news, but he was there. He was there for them to listen, to give advice, to make them laugh, which is what he was good at. And I'm sure when that office closed, he was missed just as much as my grandma. We love our grandpa very much. We're so thankful for our mom and what he did to raise her and give her the life that she's now been able to pass on to us. We'll miss him, his laugh, and we'll always carry his love and generosity with us. Thanks.
Good thing, Vicky, you will know that your father will continue watching over you and making sure everything according to standards. So, but I'm sure that he's very proud. He's very proud of you and his entire family. And as of us, we pray today and we ask God to remember Arkady at this day and everything that he accomplished, everything he created. And may all this be as eternal reward for his life, and may his soul be granted the highest possible place among the most righteous. This is the meaning of the prayer that I'm about to say. I would ask everybody rise and in the end answer Amen. El male rachamim shoichen bamrovomim hamtze menucha nechona al kanfei ashchina b'malos gdoshim v'torim ki zohar rakia mazkirim Es nishmas Arkady ben Vladimir shalach la'alamo. Bavur shemishpochta titen litzdoka bat askoras nishmaso. Began Eden tihyeh menuchaso. Lachen bal rachamim yastirehu b'seser knafav le'olamim. ויצרור בצרור החיים אס נשמסו, אדוני הוא נחלסו. וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. Thank you. Take your seats, please.
The interment will take place at Memorial Park Cemetery located here in Skokie. For those of you driving to this cemetery in procession, we will provide those vehicles with an orange funeral sticker which should be placed on the inside portion of your front windshield, as well as a magnetic flag for the top of your vehicle. And please use your bright headlights and your emergency flasher lights while in procession. Following the interment, you are all invited to a luncheon, memorial luncheon at Shivago's Restaurant at 9925 Grosse Point Road in Skokie. This is following the interment. May we all rise at this point, and the casket will be escorted from the chapel.